Hey guys, it's Rick from the Watchtower, and today I have a special guest.
Hi everyone, this is Anneli.
So why are you here, Anneli?
Well, Rick, I'm here to talk about Saga comics from Image. And basically, the idea is that this will be the first installment of Anneli's Attic, where we will be discussing all of the interesting comic book realm that is outside of your typical superhero storylines that you'll get from Marvel and DC.
So why did you choose Saga?
Well, Saga is a fun storyline for me. I picked it up about 2 years ago after seeing it on the shelves in my local comic book store multiple times. It's actually pretty funny what happened. I went into the store and I would peruse the normal aisles, and then I would kick it in the mature section for a little bit and look at the different things. And Saga would always be there. And finally, I decided I would check out what this comic book was. It had this awesome chick on the front with some great hair, a man holding a sword, and he has horns, and then the chick is holding a baby. It's nuts. So finally, I picked it up, I opened it up, and I started reading the first 2 pages. I came back to the comic book store 3 times, and all I would do was read the first 2 pages of Saga. And I thought, you know what? I need to finally buy this. And so I did. I picked it up, and the rest is history.
So tell me about the story.
Well, the story follows 3 main characters. We have Alana, Marco, and their daughter Hazel. Now, Alana and Marco come from 2 separate worlds, Wreath and Landfall. Marco comes from Wreath, a moon that orbits Landfall, where Alana comes from. These 2 worlds have been in a never-ending war with each other. No one can remember when it started, and so far no one knows when it's going to end. These 2 soldiers decide that they don't like the war, and they fall in love and end up getting married. They have a child, who is Hazel, and the rest of the story follows their journey of trying to be a family while also being on the run from their 2 respective planets and what that looks like to be living life.
So what do they experience in the first volume?
Well, the first volume really covers a lot of the initial story building, as any good first volume would. That the first two pages are great. Alana opens it up for us with screams and shouts of anger, and we find out that she is in labor. And it happens so beautifully that it's just so real and passionate that Alana and Marco are in a war zone and they bring this baby into the world, and they have this amazing realization just depicted so wonderfully in their face from Fiona Stables, who does the art for this, that they have a child and they have a whole new life and world ahead of them. And from there, they end up going on the run, and they are working to get off of the planet that they are currently on, which is just a little junky planet that no one in the universe really cares about. They move along, and the beginnings of this journey are really the struggle of what are our values. That Alana and Marco, as I said, come from 2 totally different planets and cultures, and they've been at war forever. So their typical values really contradict with each other. And they have to figure out now, how is that going to work? Because we have a kid, we have this daughter, and we're not even entirely sure what we want to name her, because we both have these 2 very different mindsets of what all of these things look like. And that's really how the reader is introduced to this story, just the overwhelming realities of what it's like to have a child.
So can you tell me about the writing a little bit? Because as I look at some of the pages, I realize it's not exactly a very kid-friendly comic.
Yeah, spoilers, there's sex. The writing done by Brian Van is really amazing. It's very different from what you would see in your normal superhero story, where it's all about action and sound bubbles and thought bubbles. That The dialogue is very dialogue, that people are yelling at each other, and it's written in a very conversational way. But the fun twist that goes along with it is that simultaneously, while there is dialogue and speech going on, the story is also narrated by Hazel, which we find out very early on. And you have this very different perspective because Hazel is talking about her entire family's experience way off into the future, that she's looking back to obviously when she was born and does not have that opportunity to talk about what life is like and going on. But this is how the reader really gets history and builds the depth of the story when Hazel does her side narrations. But the rest of the dialogue that happens really allows the reader to just follow through the story at pace, that you don't get any secret hints as to what's going on or what's coming in the future. There's no foreshadowing like that. You just have to follow the characters and see what they have to give you.
So you touched a little bit on the art, but why do you like the art?
Well, I really love the art because it's vibrant. It pops out at you in a very beyond real type of way, that Fiona does a beautiful job with coloration and the inking style that she does, which the final product being primarily digital, but it's just awesome. And it's not so abstract or busy that you sort of get lost in the art. All of the different paneling that comes through is very seamless, and it has a great flow to it. Things that need a greater amount of emphasis are given a whole panel or their own page, instead of having different pictures or images layered on top of each other. It just gives you a really mystical and fanciful type view, but in a very real way, if that even makes sense.
Well, last and not least, would you recommend this?
I would definitely recommend this book. It is certainly an 18 and up type read. Please, if you are too young, don't read it. You don't appreciate some of the finer things, but this is a story for if you're looking for a story about intense feelings, emotion, action, sex, drugs, violence. It's got it all. It's really an awesome story. And this is basically what you need to know when you're starting off Saga. So thanks for joining us, guys, and I hope to see you again for the next installment of Anneli's Attic.